If you're one of the many, many Americans who are concerned about healthy brain and brain health, then you don't want to miss this show. Stay tuned for real possibilities. I am so excited to have you here with us, Dr. Rai. You know, we have polled people so many times about priority issues. What's important to you? What's important to your family? Brain health comes up every single time. And so here we have you, one of the nation's leading experts. That's what I call you anyway, in terms of researching your brain and understanding the brain. And so we're thrilled to have you with us today to share a little bit about the Amicus Brain work that you're doing. But first, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you were an IBM executive and you left that prestigious position to do the work you're now doing. So talk to us a little bit about you and your background.
Thank you, Paula. Thank you, AARP, for having me. It's such a wonderful opportunity to share what we are doing in terms of helping people live well with dementia. So my story is really, many entrepreneurs, as you know, many entrepreneurial ventures start with a personal passion. Mm-hmm. That's how mine began too. So I am an AI, artificial intelligence researcher for 30 years.
So you were researching artificial intelligence 30 years ago?
Yeah, my PhD starting, I'm counting from PhD till here. So my PhD was in making computers look at images and reason about the images like we do. So it was to think of that as a pathway to mimicking human vision. So such a hubris I had, I guess, as a young researcher wanting to mimic what evolution has perfected. After my PhD in artificial intelligence, I joined IBM Research, and that's where I stayed on until I started Amicus Brain. So throughout my career, I've always been drawn to solving societally impactful problems with artificial intelligence driven technologies. Just to give you an example, when 9/11 happened, I wouldn't have imagined that my life would intersect with post 9/11 events. The newly formed Department of Homeland Security gave us a project, and I was the lead of that, to help emergency responders in a local community very quickly learn about any new situation that they needed to handle. So think of this as predating massively online education systems. And 2008 housing crisis happened, and I was there. I was part of, I was at IBM, but I was Fannie Mae's advisor in terms of figuring out the right kind of solution to keep the struggling US homeowners in their homes avoiding foreclosure. The moonshot was avoiding foreclosure, so homeowners who have been delinquent can still walk away with their heads held high. I built 15 plus artificial intelligence and machine learning solutions with my team that they changed lots of lives, and that's where I think the bug bit me.
So how did you develop the passion? You said when you were 10 years old, you were interested in this. What were you doing at 10? What created that passion?
Yeah. So by age 10, I was fascinated by how the brain works, because in my own family, my brother was so different in terms of his skills, very good at drawing. I can't draw past a stick figure, whereas I was very good at mathematics, and I would help. He's 3 years older than me, and I would solve his mathematics problems. So I started thinking, how is it in the same family, same mom and dad, but very different skills? It's everything to do with brain. So I was fascinated and captivated by how the brain works. So my goal was to become a neurosurgeon at that point in time. But then when I reached high school, I was admitted into this very prestigious institution in India called IIT, Indian Institute of Technology. Is very hard to get into, and very few women go to that. So once I got admitted into that, I studied electrical engineering, and I became an electrical engineer. Once I became an engineer, my fascination with brain still continued. So I wanted to be building products, building things that still are figuring out how the brain works and how we can help build solutions for people who may not be able to see well or hear well. Or
so are you optimistic? I mean, because a lot of times people with brain health or dementia, some form of dementia, they will say that there's nothing they can do, that there's no medicine, there's nothing that can prevent and or thwart the progress of that kind of deterioration. Are you at all optimistic that that's changing?
I am very optimistic. Think about how 1970s and 80s were for cancer. People dreaded the word letter C. Now, cancer has become very chronically manageable condition, and we are in that early stage for dementia, where there is a renaissance of research, drug research that is underway to find the kind of in medicine drugs that could help mitigate the impact of these amyloid plaques on the brain. So I'm very excited. Every day there is a new trial and new drugs are being rolled out. But still I'm also of the opinion that until we find that silver bullet which can cure, we still have to, and we will encounter, unfortunately some of us will encounter the risk of living with dementia, and we have to live well with that condition. And that's where I left IBM and I started this company to bring the power of artificial intelligence to build useful tools that you can access on your phone, which can act as your companion, coach in terms of decreasing the impact of dementia on your daily activities.
And that's part of it, isn't it? It's not that the person's life is over once you have that type of diagnosis. It's just it's different, and how to manage that difference. And then some of the tools and the work that you're doing helps people to manage that difference.
That's
correct?
right. Many, as you probably know, Paula, I came into this, I resigned from IBM when I was a top scientist there into starting this company because I was a caregiver for both my parents who had Parkinson's disease, whom I lost to that condition. And I had a ringside seat to caregiving and the transformation that happened as the condition progressed. So through that, I came to the conclusion that people should not be sent home to die. That's what people would say. The people who have got the diagnosis have shared with me, Chitra, the doctor sent me home to die, and it just broke my heart. That I wanted to build things, make life easier, even while living with the condition.
And that's I applaud you for that, because if it weren't for people like you who will not take no for an answer, or hopelessness, right, for an answer, it would be a death sentence for a lot of folks. But I already see in my short time of looking at brain health in the last 10 years of being at AARP, I see a shift already. The FDA just recently approved a drug that's, I don't know if it's a trial or not, but they approved a drug that sounds hopeful. So what are some of the things that people can do, not only to once they have dementia, but also to help prevent them from getting it so soon?
Yeah, AARP has 6 pillars for brain health. So I even simplified it. There are really 3 core all of us can do at any age, which is physical well-being, mental well-being, and social well-being.
No, that's the secret to life, isn't it?
Yeah, physical well-being is, honestly, there's no magic to it. It's diet, exercise, right? And making sure that we are taking good care of ourselves. Likewise, mental health, well-being is all to do with how we are taking care of us, even from a mental illness and condition perspective. Social well-being is even more important. As we get older, our circle shrinks,
right,
for a variety of reasons, and social connection is one of the modifiable factors in terms of reducing the risk of dementia. So some of the work we are doing is that even when one is diagnosed with dementia and losing some of the cognitive abilities, worried about their language decline, our solution is going to help them appear to Paula as though Chitra has never had the disease. The AI is going to compensate for the language decline so that they can feel confident in terms of engaging online and in real life.
Talk to us more about the artificial intelligence, the AI that you're exploring.
Absolutely. So, as you know, AI, this is an exciting time for artificial intelligence. When I did the research, after I graduated, people said, oh, you're graduating at the wrong time. Chitra, AI is dead. AI is going. So, AI went through a winter of oblivion, I would say, but now it's the spring of renaissance. Lots and lots of amazing research has happened. Generative AI has captured the fancy of every city, everybody in the world. Now we can create new content effortlessly. So what we are using is, we are using the artificial intelligence to serve as our own personal advisor in terms of bringing evidence-based insight to your home, to your bedside, to your device. Regardless of where you are in the globe, you can still get access to high quality medical information, clinical information, lifestyle information, advice, just by talking to the AI. You can talk or type. So you don't even have to worry about how should I search on the web. No, you just ask, as though I would call you, Paula, and say, Mom is screaming. Is there anything that you can suggest that I can help? That's the level of personal questions you can ask.
Well, just recently, my son was over and was showing me how my Alexa, I can call home and talk to whoever's in my home from Alexa, and they can see me, and I can see without ever using my phone. And so we were exploring that, and just that the level of intelligence. I mean, you can see your house, you can see, and I'm miles and miles and miles away. Can you imagine adapting any type of technology so you can talk to a person who might be going through social isolation, who doesn't know, is it time for me to take my medicine or not take my medicine, rather than calling them all the time, to be able to talk with them or have some kind of technology that will actually talk and work with them.
Right, especially since we are seeing larger prevalence of dementia in the senior age population. We don't want the technology to be overcomplicated. Menus an option. As a first principle, when we devise our solution, it has to be conversational. It needs to be as easy as calling your aunt and asking, what should I do? I'm facing this situation. So, as you know, Paula, there are more than 6.5 million Americans diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, and that doesn't even count the other dementia-causing disorders like vascular dementia and so on. And 11 million Americans, you and I, every day get up and care for our loved ones, and that is unpaid care. The last estimate shows unpaid caregiving from friends and family were about 18 billion hours, and the economic value is nearly $340 billion. That's the economic loss in a way, because Chitra is taking that time away from her workplace and devoting that time to her mother. So I wanted, therefore, if homes are going to be the hospital of the future, and families are going to be the emergency responders, let's make sure they have the tools that they feel competent, confident in terms of caregiving, and therefore they are taking better care about themselves.
I love that. So the homes will become the hospital or the caring facility, and the family or friends or whomever is taking care of you will become the nurses or the caregivers for those individuals, and make sure we have the tools to help them be successful in that. What are some of the major tools you think they can use right now? I know that you're doing a lot with research, and I'm so excited about the work you're doing. And again, thank you for that. But what do you think are someone who's going through this right now, what would you suggest they do to help make that person's life better and to make their life a little bit easier?
Yeah. So I consider this, just like 6 pillars for brain health, 5 pillars of caregiving. One is trusted evidence-based insights to know how to care, because dementia is a very goes through a slow progression, and people live for a number of years, and they're changing. The changes can be daily, the changes can be so you cannot be always prepared. So new things are going to happen. So how do you, when you need it, when at the right time you get the right support, whatever the situation may be, to handle that. So it's all about educating and training yourself. Then resources. we cannot be always caring for that. We need respite as caregivers. Therefore, what are all the local resources that are there? Senior daycare centers, to transportation, to geriatric psychiatrists. So how do you find? That's the next pillar of hyper-local information you need. So it's not just one person who is taking care of the whole village, so to speak. The society is providing the resources to take care of. The third one is finance. This disease, 70% of the care actually comes from either the person living with dementia, their own pocket, or the caregiver's pocket. It's a very expensive condition. And therefore, how do you harness the resources available from the government, from the state, in order to take better finance management? That would be a third pillar. The fourth one is the social isolation. The person living with dementia will withdraw because of worry about how they come across in a public place. The caregiver will tend to become socially isolated because they don't have the hours in life to socialize. So how do you mitigate that? And then our own personal well-being, the caregiver's own, that would be the fifth one.
It's an admirable thing for someone to say, not to have some go to an institution. I'm going to take care of you. You're my mom, you're my dad, you're my uncle, my sister, my brother, and I'm going to do that. So whatever resources, whatever help that we can provide to them, it actually saves the state and the country money from having to institutionalize them and going through assistance, public assistance, or whatever else they might need. And the quality of life is so much better. That's what AARP talks about always, that as you age, you should have choices. So if you choose to go to an institution, that's fine. We're not criticizing anyone. But for those unpaid caregivers, I think there's 1.7 million unpaid caregivers in Michigan, for all those people who are taking care of someone, we want to advocate on your behalf to give you all the kinds of resources that you need. And so I appreciate you saying that. One of the things that people often, I don't know whether it's, and you can tell us if it's a myth or if it's the truth, is dementia hereditary?
Not necessarily, unless there is a genetic component to it, but not, in general that it is hereditary.
And so there's some of the things that you can do. I mean, even if no one in your family had dementia or had any type of brain health issues, they never had any, doesn't mean that you're completely absolved from having any either. So you need to make certain the diet and social isolation, staying involved. Someone said just doing things differently, like not driving to work the same way, or if you brush your teeth with your right hand, brush your teeth with your left hand.
Stimulation.
Stimulating the brain differently.
Yes,
and I know you talked about the stick figures of your brother versus the math. So talk to us about how this wonderful organ called the brain works.
Absolutely. We are at an age where many of the things can be replaced. People go through knee replacement, people go through hip replacement, and so on. One thing we cannot replace is brain. Then Chitra will no longer.
I know there were some people I really wish we could, but that's okay.
So, and therefore, how do we continue to keep this wonderful organ, which keeps us as a sentient human beings, as a contributing to the society, healthy? And stimulation is one. Over age, what happens is our cognitive stimulation, depending on our retirement or depending on our shrinking of our social circle, might start decreasing. So that's why all the things you talked about, brushing with your left hand or writing with your left hand or whatever, helps stimulate your brain into learning. It goes to the heart. Brain is a very adaptive, flexible muscle. So how do we, muscle-like organ, how do we actually continuously challenge, learn it so that it is it's stimulated and the activities, the brain is very active. And it goes to learning new things, whether it's music, people learning to play piano or origami, whatever one likes.
And once someone has been diagnosed with some form of dementia, can they do things to help keep it from getting worse? Or will it automatically progress no matter what they do?
No. There are things one can do. Things about blood pressure and diabetes, these are two very associated conditions highly associated with dementia. and therefore it is important to take care of cardiovascular health, so blood pressure and diabetes,
It's all
exercise,
connected, isn't it?
everything. Yeah, brain is not a separate, it's full body.
So when
it's a
you're
whole
feeding
body
yourself,
health.
you're feeding your brain. When you're
Right.
feeding your body, your mouth, and eating all the things you shouldn't, you're actually feeding your brain as well.
Yes.
And your brain doesn't like some of the things it's being fed, right?
Yes, absolutely.
What gives you optimism? What are you thinking like in 3-5 years from now? What's going to be different about brain health and
We
dementia?
are just on the cusp of a worldwide recognition of aging well. Thanks to medical advances, we are at an age where we are fortunate to live longer. And with living longer, with that comes the risk of our brain health deteriorating. And therefore, we are seeing a higher recognition of how do we keep brain healthy, not wait until much later, but very early on, how do we instill the right habits in our children and grandchildren that their brain continues to stay healthy? How do we, keep, making sure that we don't have high blood pressure, making sure we're not diagnosed with diabetes and so on. So it starts much earlier. I think that is a big shift in people's thinking, that I don't have to wait. I should wait until 60, 65 and then, but much earlier, because the symptoms show up much later than when the condition actually, 20 years later than when the condition actually starts occurring in the brain.
Wow. I heard a scientist from University of Michigan say, we've got about a minute left, a scientist say that even playing, like a child playing the violin, how that exercises one part of their brain. And there are some people young people who may never be able to play an instrument, but whatever they can do to help stimulate the brain, learn new things, always continuous learning.
Yes.
In the 30 seconds we have left, Dr. Wright, tell us what you'd like for us to know about brain health, what we should be doing. But let me just say thank you again so much, not just for being here, but for all that you do to make certain that we can live the quality of life that we deserve to live. So what would you like people to know as we close out?
I would like caregivers of the world, of the globe, not to go through their journey alone. Because much of the care happens at home and it often feels isolating. And so I want caregivers to harness the resources that they are most comfortable, whether it is technology like what we are devising that can be their care coach, or simply even harnessing, looking at information on the web that is available, such as what AARP provides.
I appreciate that. I love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Paula, for having me.
Thank you. So you want to ride the CAT a bus? Well, let's talk to Lolo and see what the options are. Hi, thank you again for being with us. If someone wants to ride and they have a particular schedule, ride the bus or Spectrum, and they have a particular schedule, will the CAT show up on time? Will the vehicle show up on time? And will it get them to their appointment on time? How reliable is CAT?
We are actually very reliable, whether you're talking about our fixed route system or our paratransit services. We're not perfect, of course, and there are external factors that could impact our ability to remain on time. So we always ask passengers to think ahead, and if it's really critical, an appointment or getting to class on time, maybe take the scheduled service before, ahead of time, so that they arrive on time and they don't miss out on opportunities.
Just like anyone else, a car or anyone else driving, I'm sure CAT runs into traffic issues and construction issues and road issues and everything else, right?
Absolutely. Trains, going by, and the train guards coming down and waiting in traffic.
But 80 to 90% on-time reliability is pretty daggone good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good. So if people want to schedule that service, then they would have to call how far in advance?
2 weeks in advance at the most,
Okay.
But also 1 day in advance. And with some services, it's a 30-minute lead time.
Great. Now, will CAT wait for them? Like if they have a doctor's appointment, or do they just have to schedule a time to be picked up?
They do need to schedule a time for pickup, but we are doing wait stop trips as well. So if you need to maybe run to the bank before your appointment, you can do that. We do have a small window within which you have to conduct your business and get right back on that vehicle.
So you can't just ride around all day?
No, you can't just ride around all day. There's a huge demand for our services.
Absolutely. Well, it's a nice ride if you could do that. So thank you so much for that
Thank
information.
you.
Appreciate you being here. Hi, Chris. There's nothing worse than not having enough money, other than perhaps having a financial advisor who's not very good. So how can you tell a good financial advisor from a bad one?
Yeah, so there's good apples and bad apples in any profession. One of the things that I would say is first look to the designations that financial planner has. For example, having a CFP designation, Certified Financial Planner designation, really that's one of the gold standards as it relates to financial planning, where we have to be peer reviewed, sit down and take a 6-hour exam. And as an attorney, once I took the bar exam, I never want to take another exam ever in my life. And then as a CFP, Certified Financial Planner, we owe a fiduciary duty to act in the best interest of our clients. So that's one thing, is look at the designations they have. A CFP would be the big one to look for. The other thing would be asking them flat out, are they a fiduciary? Are they acting in your best interest? Or are they just working by a suitability standard? And people who just work by a suitability standard, they can sell you products, sell you insurance, and get a commission. And what they're selling you might not be the best for you. It's suitable for you, but it's like buying a suit that doesn't fit, right? It might be in their best interest to sell you this product versus that. But as a certified financial planner and a fiduciary and as an attorney, I always have to act in my best interest, in the best interest of the clients. And so if you're looking for a financial advisor, make sure they're a fiduciary.
And so you just ask that question directly
Right.
of them. Just say, are you a fiduciary? Are you serving in my best interest? Do you receive a commission, or are you on a flat rate? Because they all have to get paid somehow.
Right.
So they get paid from the person or the marketplace, or they get paid from?
Yeah, so there's different ways that financial planners can get paid. They can be paid a flat fee. We just write a check. They can be paid based off of assets under management. And that's typically how most fiduciaries operate, or they can receive kickbacks or commissions from insurance companies. And so a great question is just asking, how do you get paid?
Just speak up and ask. Thanks, Chris.
Hi, my name is Kevin Duffy. I'm a physician assistant from Great Lakes Center of Rheumatology. I'm here to talk to you today about hand pain. Many people present to their physician with hand pain, and some of the symptoms they complain of are achy pain, stiffness in the morning, can't hold on to things, numbness, tingling. If you have those issues, it's probably worthwhile trying to figure out what's wrong. Some of the causes of hand pain can be just wear and tear, osteoarthritis, could be rheumatoid arthritis, carpal tunnel syndrome. You could have a pinched nerve in your neck. And so that for that reason, a lot of people say, well, what should I do for my hand pain? I think the best thing to do is contact your primary care physician to start. They may order x-rays, which could shed some light on what your problem is. They may try you on non-steroidal anti-inflammatory medicines or Tylenol. If some of those work, I would stay with conservative treatments. If the symptoms persist, you may want to request a referral to a specialist. You might want to see an orthopedic surgeon, orthopedic hand surgeon, and or a rheumatologist. Occasionally, you might need to see a physical medicine rehab doctor if you need nerve studies done. But some of the testing you can do are x-rays. Different forms of arthritis have different kinds of x-rays. And so once you figure out what your definitive diagnosis is, you can formulate a treatment plan, which would consist of NSAIDs, physical therapy, occupational therapy. If you have an autoimmune disease, you may need more advanced treatment, such as biologic drugs and advanced imaging. But at any rate, if you see your PCP and get the correct referrals, I'm sure you could feel better.
Thank you for watching. There was so much information shared today that gives us hope for brain health. If you are a caregiver or if you're in need of a caregiver, don't give up hope. Please share the information with others and check out the website. Thank you for watching AARP Real Possibilities.